First thing I'm going to do is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Rupp if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, I can. All right. Hello, commissioners. Make sure when I'm doing roll call that your mics are unmuted. That way we can hear if you are here. So we have Chair Barden.
Here.
Vice Chair Cutler he's excused today. Commissioner Rates. Commissioner Boyle. Commissioner Hunter.
Present.
Commissioner Rupp.
Present.
Commissioner Vey.
Present.
Commissioner Airy.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Boyle, maybe your mic was muted. Okay, thank you for roll call.
Okay, we have enough commissioners present or on the phone for the meeting. Great. So we've got several commissioners this morning or this afternoon are teleconferencing in. So we'll do our best to get through this. I'll do my best to make sure I hear everyone as we speak. And please, maybe when you speak, let us know who it is when you're speaking and try to speak as clearly as you can. Thank you. So moving right along, we'll go to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the Wednesday, October 12th, 2020 meeting we had just last month. Is there any questions, or comments, or discussion about the minutes as they've been presented in the agenda? Hearing none, would anyone care to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Commissioner Rupp makes a motion to approve the minutes as noted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Simon Hunter, second.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion about the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays, please vote now. Any abstentions? Okay, that passed. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item number 5, public communications. I know no members of the public are present today. Did we have any written communication before the commission this afternoon?
No, we do not.
Okay, number 5 is done. No public communications today. Moving right along, item number 6, strategic plan. Looks like we have a presentation from Mr. John McKelvey on the strategic plan, and that's popping up now on the screens here. And is that then available for the other commissioners to see online in some manner? We have a presentation that's going to be given by
Yes.
Mr. McKelvey now.
Let's see, I should be able to pull our screen share up. 1 second.
And Mr. McKelvey will be giving this remotely because I do not see him in the chambers at this time. Okay. We are using technology to its fullest this afternoon, commissioners. Everyone, please be patient.
And Mr. Chairman, I am here, John McKelvey, Senior Management Analyst. I'm just waiting for Jordan to get the presentation up so I can see it as well, because I don't want to get ahead or behind. So I am here, waiting patiently.
Thank you, Mr. McKelvey. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please be patient. We're working with the presentation momentarily with staff.
All right. I think without further ado, we'll commence. Jordan and I are going to tag team this, so bear with us as we haven't practiced much on this. So this afternoon, I'm John McKelvey. I'm honored to give the Utilities Commission an update on our Water Utility Strategic Plan. Slide. It's still showing there we go. So a little bit of background. Back in 2010, we did our last strategic plan update. Ideally, it's updated every 5 years. Unfortunately, it took us a little bit longer. So last year, we issued an RFP. Raftellus was awarded the contract, and we began in earnest on this process in September of last year. I'm happy to say that we completed the work on the final strategic plan in spring of 2020. Slide. And this next slide is a cover of our beautiful 2020 version of the strategic plan. I think you've all received a copy. If you haven't, please let me know and we'll get you one. Slide. So the process included stakeholder interviews with our city manager, interest groups, and some members of this commission. Also, they interviewed all of our managers, myself, and a few others to get our take on things. We did employee focus groups. We had an employee survey with over 75 responses. So about a little more than half the utility responded, which is a really good survey response. And our core team was made up of all of our management team and selected employees from all divisions. Slide. The core team met several times, included an environmental scan so we could see what was going on in our industry, looked at industry trends and some of our local context. We did a SOAR analysis. For those of you not familiar, it includes strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. And we developed a mission, vision, and values and goals, which I'm going to talk about briefly in the next few slides. Continue. So our vision, go ahead and hit that, Jordan, is to be a leader in sustainable utilities, valued for our innovation, employee engagement, and proactive public education. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that, if I do say so myself. Next slide, we'll talk about our mission. Our mission is that we protect public health and the environment by providing reliable, cost-effective, and sustainable utility services with dedicated, forward-thinking employees. And I think that these themes are going to wrap throughout what you're going to see on the next few slides. Slide. Okay, so values. We are committed to serving our community with integrity, which means doing the right thing. Teamwork, working together to accomplish common goals. Accountability to each other and to our customers. Stewardship, using our resources wisely. And adaptability, including giving presentations remotely, finding solutions as conditions change. And I think 2020 is probably the poster year for adaptability. Our goal areas include workforce, finance, communication and outreach, infrastructure, sustainable resource management, technology, excuse me. So here's a progress check. This is what we've done and where we're going. We've done the implementation workshop for our core group. That's complete. We've rolled out the strategic plan to staff via work group meetings. We've got a little more work to do on that, but we've met with all the individual work groups. We have goal champions, so basically the cheerleaders for each of our goal areas. They're the team leaders that are responsible for getting those goals enacted. Implementation of measures in support of our goals, and that is a work in progress. It's going to be ongoing. And living the plan, that is an ongoing thing. Plan is great, but if it sits on the shelf, it doesn't do us any good. So we're trying to live that and make it a living document, active all the time. Slide. And this is our group photo. I'm pretty proud of it. It's our water utility staff is ready to act on the strategic plan. And that is the end of my presentation. Are there any questions from commissioners?
Any questions for Mr. McKelvey?
Right. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McKelvey. That was an excellent presentation. And I know, as you mentioned, if anybody did not have or wanted a copy of that actual document, they could get that from staff, I believe you mentioned. And I would just make one comment, and that is that I think that type of strategic planning and that type of effort is well worth doing in any organization. And I would commend you, Director Dale, and your management team for the leadership of preparing that and putting those types of things and the actions that you're doing here into words. I think is very meaningful. I think it rubs off on people when you see words like that and you see that type of work and how we do things. So kudos to you and the management group. Thank you, Mr. McKelvey, for that presentation. Okay, we are moving on now to committee reports. Item number 7, I do not believe there's been any committee meetings. If there has, no.
No, there has not.
No committee meetings. Okay, good. And now we have items for consideration. So we've got, I think, 5 items here before us today. So the first one, item 8A, it's come back from, we've looked at previously, it was the commission work plan. I believe there was going to be some amendments, or you were going to add one section to it. So I don't know if there's any comments on that item, but this is an item that's going forward, I think, for approval by council. So I'll open it up for any discussion on that item at this time. 8A. Did someone have a comment? I would just make one comment. The agenda has the attachment that was going to be revised as an attachment to the memo, but mine did not include it. So those edits that were made to that, you might want to distribute that again to us, because I think there was some item that you were going to add, Director Dale. I'm assuming that was done. So.
Yes, we did the edits directly from
Okay.
the recommended language changes at the last meeting.
Okay. Unless there's any other discussions or any comments or discussion, I'd entertain a motion to move this item forward to the City Council per staff recommendation.
Commissioner Rupp, motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any discussion on that item, or is there a second out there for moving that?
Simon Hunter, second. Second from Simon Hunter.
Commissioner Hunter, second. Thank you, Commissioner Hunter. Okay. Okay, that item will go forward on 8A. Thank you. Next up, 8B is the professional service agreement. It's explained in the memo. Got to go forward to City Council. Looks like this is something maybe out of Ms. Forster's area for public education. Are there any questions or comments on item B, 8B? Would anyone care to make a motion to move that item forward?
Motion to approve 8B.
Motion by Commissioner Rupp. Is there a second?
Commissioner Vay, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vay, for the second. Did I vote on the last item?
No, I don't think you did vote. So we will need to do a vote
Okay.
on item 8A.
Thank
as
you,
well.
Ms. Queen. So we're going to stop, we're going to finish with 8B right now. There's a motion on the floor. Any other discussion about that contract for used oil education outreach? Okay, all those in favor of sending that forward, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, thank you, that item moves forward. I apologize, I need to go back to item 8A. We had a motion and a second on the floor, and I was moving too fast. So I need to take a vote on item 8A to move that forward, to staff recommendation. So all those in favor of moving this, the Utilities Commission work plan forward, please say yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
All those opposed say nay. Abstentions? Hearing none. Thank you. Okay, get back on track. 8C, this is another contract for environmental education. Looks like out of the solid waste group with Produce Good of Oceanside, food recovery services. Any questions or comments on this item before I will entertain a motion?
Just a quick question. How does this tie into the kitchen at El Zone? Is that associated with this, or is this a separate program?
So, Commissioner Rep, this is a separate program. This is actually a entity that performs gleaning services with the public. So they would put on several events throughout the year and organize the community to come together and retrieve or harvest fruit from people's yards, the fruit trees that they have in the yards. It may or may not feed back into the kitchen at El Zone, but it will go to programs that can use the fruit that is harvested.
Thank you. Nice.
Any other questions or comments on that item? 8C, the professional service agreement with Produce Good of Oceanside for $42,400. Food recovery services. Is there a motion to approve staff recommendation, take forward?
Commissioner Rupp, motion to approve 8C.
Thank you, Commissioner Rupp. Is there a second? Would anyone like to offer a second on Commissioner Rupp's motion?
Yes, Simon Hunter, second.
Which commissioner was that? Can you please state your name?
Darren Bay, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Vey. Okay, we're moving on to item 8D. We need a vote. I'm moving too fast today.
Vote on it.
How about, we'll have a vote on 8C to move forward for the food recovery program. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Hearing none, that one passes. Okay. 8D. Director Dale, do you have anything you want to say about this one? This looks pretty good. Applying for another grant you've been successful with the department, and this is related to the metering project that we just seem to have started moving forward. Is that
Correct, Chairperson Barden.
Yeah.
City Council approved the automated metering project in the last month, so we're moving forward with that. This is the third of 3 grants through the Bureau of Reclamation. We've had 2 previous grants that were awarded, each in the amount of $1.5 million. And this last year, they increased the amount that we could apply for. So this is a full $2 million request. We're fairly confident that it will be competitive. And the due date is, actually it was submitted last week. And the resolution that's before you here that will go before council is required to be submitted within 30 days of the application being submitted.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. We've been successful. The city's been successful with this program before, so I'm excited and I hope we get it. Any questions or comments for Director Dale on this application with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation? This is going, okay. All right, well, this is going forward to council, but can we have a motion to move forward with staff recommendation?
Commissioner Rupp with the motion to approve 8D.
And do we have a second?
Commissioner Airy, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Airy. All right, all those in favor of moving 8D forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, that item moves forward. Thank you. 8D. 8E, doesn't look like there's any action required of the commission on this. Director Dale, would you care to comment on this? This looks like an organizational or human resource matter, maybe?
Yes, thank you. We had provided some written correspondence to the City Council in late July of this year regarding some of the staffing changes that are apparent related to some of the major projects in the city, including automated metering, where there will be a reduction in staff, the Pure Water Oceanside project, where there will be a requirement to add staff, as well as the closure of Las Leno, which will reduce staff. In moving forward, we want to be able to bring some of these positions on board in advance of the projects being completed. We do have an opportunity to convert 2 meter service worker 2 positions to mechanical technologists, and the 2 meter service worker positions are currently vacant. So the action is to make that change, as well as move budget from the water fund to the sewer operating fund.
Okay, so do you require commission to act on this, or is this something that, I mean, this seems like you're going back to council where you're kind of running to ground, where you talked a little bit about some of the savings, and do we need to make, would you like a vote on this?
I would, please, thank you. Yes.
Okay. Does everybody understand what this item is from Director Dale? A little bit of organizational stuff, which we generally don't see here, but I think in regards to the metering program and changes in the division, this was maybe something that council wanted to see, so it's headed back to them. And I appreciate staff running that to the ground and trying to be responsive to council. So with those comments, is there any discussion, comments, thoughts about this item?
So, Chairman, this is Commissioner Bay. I just had a quick question about this. The people that, and this is just more of a functional question, the people that are like doing meter service worker today and they're going to mechanical technologist, it looks like a higher paying position, but it's not quite the same job. So is there going to be any training costs involved to train what they used to do versus what they're going to be doing? Is that like all internal, or is there any additional costs other than just their salaries?
So the 2 meter service worker positions are currently vacant, and it will be a change just to the position itself, to the full-time equivalent. Okay. And we'll do a separate recruitment, most likely internally, with qualified candidates applying for the mechanical technologists.
Okay, so okay, thank you for that, because I was just trying to, I didn't know if those were filled, but those are vacant, and you're just getting new people. Okay, got it. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bay. Any other questions for Director Dale or comments? Okay, I'm hearing none. So, Director Dale, you do want us to vote on this, and I guess I follow back up my earlier comments. Obviously, there's personnel matters that go on all the time in the organization, and we generally aren't seeing that or weighing in on those type of things. So, is this just because of the nature of the metering project, and it kind of is spurring these organizational changes? That's why this topic's out there. I mean, is that? Because generally, it doesn't seem that we are weighing in on these.
Typically, these types of changes are done through the budget process, and so they're part of the overall budget packet. We just have an opportunity right now to do this action in advance of the budget, which would allow the mechanical technologists to come on board a little bit sooner and get up to speed on their job duties before the facility comes online.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to support the staff recommendation going forward.
Motion to approve item 8E.
Commissioner Rupp with the motion, and we'll have a second.
Commissioner Bay, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ray, for the second. Any further discussion or comments on this item? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, that item moves forward. Thank you, Director Dale. Moving on to discussion items 9A, selection of chair and vice chair. Okay, this item's been before us a couple times. I know Director Dale was going to go back and look at a few things. I had a comment on this, but Director Dale, would you care to speak first on this item? Did you have anything that you would like to share?
Sure. I'll just give you my thoughts on how typically we're seeing these types of positions function within different organizations. Typically, someone that's appointed to the vice chair position would, during their time in that role, learn about their duties on how to preside over meetings, how to recognize members of the public, how to move forward with Robert's Rules of Orders, which is the official manner in which you conduct public meetings, and just take that time in their role to learn the role of the chairman so that when they do eventually move forward into the chairperson's role, and I would see that this is a transition into that larger role, that they are proficient and familiar with the duties of the chairperson. Currently, the bylaws in the Utilities Commission do not read in a way that allow or make clear what that role is. So I would perhaps suggest some language that further strengthens how that process moves forward in the future. I did have a conversation with our vice chair. He indicated that he was not able to move forward in a chairperson role should he be nominated. So that is why the conversation's really coming up is to make clear that someone that would be nominated for the vice chair role would be serving in that capacity for a period of time, learning the chairperson role, and then eventually moving into the chairperson role. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you for further discussion on that.
Thank you for those comments. Those are very clear. I will mention as well that Vice Chair Cutler, who couldn't be here today, he had a vacation planned with his family. I spoke to him, and he'd asked me to speak on this topic as well today to share his thoughts, and it pretty much echoes what Director Dale has mentioned. Is as the vice chair, to me, he had indicated that he wished to resign as vice chair back to just commissioner because he wasn't in a position at this time with his professional career to move on into the chair position for whatever reason. So he wishes to step aside, and he asked me to let you know that today, Director Dale, that he wants to resign as vice chair back to commissioner, which then opens up that vice chair position. So at this point, that's vacant. We haven't had an election for either, so I think that is some movement. So now the vice chair position is open. I appreciate your explanation, and I think it might go without saying, the chair really is here to help run the meeting and to make sure that it's a smooth meeting. And I think that's the most important thing, and that's what I strive to do. It's not my voice. This is not my meeting. This is not my commission. This is the commission. It's the public's meeting. So I have a lot of respect for that, so I appreciate your comments on that. I'm certainly willing to serve as the chair and continue to go forward. If someone else has an interest, I'd love to see someone else do it. If there's someone else who has an interest in the vice chair at this time, with the caveat of what you've spoken about of the potential to move into chair, I think that's a great discussion for us to have. So I don't know if maybe folks want to think about that again, or if there's any comments today from the group, but those are my comments. So I think the vice chair position is certainly open at this point. So we'll put it back to the floor again for further comments and discussion on this all-important topic.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, this is Commissioner Rupp, that perhaps Chair Barden, you would serve as an interim chair for an undetermined period of time until such time as a vice chair is selected, and is familiar with the role to become the chair. Is that what's on the floor?
I'm happy to continue to serve as chair, yes, at the pleasure of the commission.
And if I could interject too, the way that the bylaws are currently written, the chair and the vice chair can hold the office for a period certain, or until their successors are elected and qualified. And so the bylaws currently allow that, but I'm also suggesting a few tweaks to the bylaws to give us a little bit more flexibility should this situation occur in the future.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll hand it back to you if there's any other questions.
Any other comments or questions by any other commissioners at this time on this topic? Okay, hearing none, what I would suggest is,
Chair Barden, I think your microphone's off.
I'm sorry. So I was asking, was there any further comment or discussion of this item? Any other commissioners at this point in time? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask Director Dale if you feel it's appropriate to revise that language. I mean, I defer to staff, and certainly on that from a commission perspective, whatever you're comfortable with, if that's something that you feel you need to write. And then I would encourage the rest of the commissioners to consider possibly an interest in the vice chair position and maybe reach out to Director Dale or myself, and maybe next month we can try to elect a vice chair and then move forward from there for some period of time. Yes.
So I guess hearing no other comments from the commissioners, and I know we were trying to get this resolved the previous meeting, I would be happy to put myself up for consideration as vice chair.
That's wonderful. Did everyone hear Commissioner Rupp is willing to be considered as vice chair? So this is where my knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order comes in. Can we act on that, or should we wait till next month, Director Dale? I'm going to ask you about that. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to nominate him at this point in time. It's a discussion item.
It looks like the item has been agendized as a discussion item, so we can agendize as an action item at the next meeting and can put forward Commissioner Rupp's name.
Yes, okay, we'll consider the nomination.
Thank you.
Next month, and next commission meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Rupp. Okay, I'm going to move on then to item 10. I do not see the council liaison report. I do not see Councilman Rodriguez is present today, and I do not believe he has a virtual report for us. No. That's correct? No. Okay, thank you.
No.
San Diego County Water Authority report. There's a written report in there. If there's any questions or comments, Director Dale, or I don't believe Commissioner Boyle joined us, did he? Or he did at the end? He did. If there's any questions for Commissioner Boyle, or Commissioner Boyle, do you have any verbal report that you'd wish to share with the commission on the Water Authority meeting? Okay, I'm not hearing Commissioner Boyle with a verbal report. The written report is included in your packet, item 11A.
I can just make one comment about the formal board meeting.
Yes.
There was quite a bit of discussion, over 2 hours of discussion about the regional conveyance system study, which is a study that would consider constructing a pipeline from the Colorado River into San Diego County to avoid conveying water through the metropolitan pipeline and avoiding the transportation costs on the Met rate. We are going to be planning a workshop at the end of October, on October 28th, to have an independent consultant that was hired by Oceanside as well as several agencies in the county to provide their presentation and analysis of the pipeline. It's a $6 billion project that is at the earliest, going to pay dividends or provide savings to the county in about the year 2070. It could be later, depending on the types of, or the metrics that are used in the financial comparison. So because of the enormous impact to the region and the long-term financial payments that would be paid for by not only the Oceanside residents, but all residents in San Diego County, we felt that it warranted quite a bit of vetting at the city council level, and we are going to ask the city council to take a position on it. And we are likely going to ask that they take a position to not construct and not move forward with the project. So we will be televising that workshop on the 28th, and we can send out additional details when we do have it. Those are typically noticed for 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But that was the big item of discussion.
Yeah, that is a large item, isn't it? Wow. To be clear, Director Dale, the workshop on October 28th is a workshop for the public or for the member agencies? I'm not clear who the workshop is for.
It's a council workshop, so it'll occur.
It's a city council workshop. Okay.
City council, yeah. So it'll be in chambers here, televised through KOCT. Sorry if I didn't make that clear.
I forget where I'm at, sorry.
Typically, it's a format. It's a little
Okay.
bit less formal than a council meeting, and it
Okay.
allows a little bit more in-depth analysis and discussion between the staff as well as the city council member on an item.
At that workshop, I'm just curious, is the council able to take a position at something like that, or is it just an educational? Will you be asking them to take a position then, and can they at a workshop? It's a formal meeting.
Yes, I can ask them to take a position, and that's typically what's been going on in the
Okay.
region with the different water agencies. The boards or the city councils are taking positions on the project.
Okay. That's a very large item. Okay. Any further comments on that water authority topic? What did we call it again? The alternative conveyance pipeline? Did I get that?
It's called the regional conveyance pipeline.
Regional conveyance pipeline. Remember that one. That's going to be around and it's going to be expensive. Okay. Moving along to item 12, staff and water utilities directors items. We had some written reports in here from Mr. Popma, the sewer report for the
Yeah.
month.
I'm going to ask Mr. Popma to provide his report, and then I have 2 other items to
Okay.
inform you of.
Mr. Popma, you have the floor. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairperson Barden and Commissioners. So for the month of August, we received 10 sewer complaints, of which only one needed attention of the Roder and Vector crews. The collections team for the month inspected over 174,000 feet of sewer line, achieving 145% of their goal, their monthly goal. So everything's looking good. Everybody's staying ahead, and that concludes my update.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well done.
And one of the items I was going to talk to you about was the workshop, so we've already talked about that. The other was that the city as well as the EPA held a joint press conference last Thursday at 10:30 to announce the conclusion or the execution of a $69 million WIFIA loan from the federal government. The interest rate that we received on the loan was 1.20%. So over half of what we would typically issue debt on the bond market for. I just wanted to recognize Lindsay Leahy for her extraordinary work on this loan. It was, this is really about 15 or 16-month process to get here. We initially started with a letter of intent, which itself was a significant effort. It's not just a letter, it's a large application packet. That was evaluated by EPA officials and scored against other applicants in the nation. And the city of Oceanside was moved forward both applications for water and for sewer were 2 of 38 that were invited to apply nationwide. The application for water was submitted in January. And after such time, EPA officials evaluated the application and then negotiated both with staff as well as our attorneys on the loan language, and finally were able to conclude in mid-September with the loan closure. So a huge, huge lift. Lindsay had the primary role in the department moving this forward. So I just wanted to recognize her and thank her for all of her work to get it to the finish line.
Yes, congratulations. Does that conclude your comments then? All right, we're on to item 13, Chairman's comments, and the only comment I had was congratulations and well done on, oh, we have to back up?
We do. We have one more
I did
item
have
to
one
share.
more, sorry.
One more.
One more report
staff
out
report.
before
Oh,
I
one
turned
more
it over
staff
to you.
report.
I apologize. I asked Chris Freeman to talk briefly about some of the measures that we've put in place since we've been working virtually. And so I'm going to turn it over to Chris. I apologize, Chris.
Thank you, Carrie. Good afternoon, Chair Barden, Commissioners. Christopher Freeman, Acting Management Analyst. Director Dale wanted me to discuss how the Water Utilities Department has adapted to serve the public during the pandemic and continues to this day. I have a brief list of some of the highlights for the group. When the city declared an emergency in early March, several practices went into effect immediately. Field crews were divided, so they were working with only a limited group of their coworkers. Start times were staggered as to avoid large gatherings at the beginning and end of shifts. Vehicle usage was reduced to 1 employee per vehicle, and administrative staff vehicles were offered up to our field crews for use. Masks were obtained through several avenues so that every employee had a sufficient number of masks for use during work. Cleaning supplies were ordered in bulk. Plant teams worked to divide into spray bottles for pickup, and sanitizer was even blended in our own laboratory to provide for our field crews. Supervisors monitor temperature checks at the beginning and end of all shifts, as well as look for symptoms from the Center for Disease Control COVID symptom list. If any employees are experiencing potential COVID symptoms, the department works with the city's registered nurse, Lynn Seablum, who is part of the fire department, as well as HR on the next steps. Employees are screened over the phone, where the length of isolation, if needed, and the need for a COVID test is determined, and only after being cleared by HR and fire does the employee return to work. At the beginning of the emergency declaration, City Council authorized 120 hours of emergency leave bank to assist employees missing work due to seeking a COVID diagnosis or assisting a family member that is seeking a diagnosis. In terms of personnel, several positions have become vacant during the pandemic due to retirement or resignation, and depending on the needs of the organization at the time of the vacancy, we've been able to hold several of these vacant to experience temporary cost savings. Our water administration employees have been working remotely for the most part. An electronic invoice form was created so that supervisors could continue to process invoices remotely and obtain approval signatures from management and ultimately make their way to finance. Within 6 months, we processed nearly 3,000 invoices using this form, and it's now the city's #1 used seamless doc form. Also of note is that our engineering team has been 100% with all plan review deadlines since February. Previous fiscal year average was 98%, which is pretty good already, but they've been able to hold 100% deadlines since February. Finally, when City Hall reopened, we brought back a skeleton crew of basically 1 member from each team. After several weeks of low-frequency counter interactions, we were able to adjust and accommodate employees to go back to safely working from home. What you're looking at on the presentation there is a television was retrofitted at the front counter and integrated camera technology so that a single member of our admin staff can cover the counter. And when a customer arrives with a question, they can use video chat at the counter to reach out to members of engineering, GIS, or environmental programs. Members of the public are able to gain instant access to a staff member in their area of need and use one-way or two-way video to share documents and ask questions. The setup has worked very well and allows us to continue to serve the public safely during this time. And that concludes my discussion around adaptations made during the pandemic, and I'd be happy to elaborate on any items if the commission requests.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Freeman, for that presentation. It sounds like a lot of very interesting things have been going on. Any questions for Mr. Freeman on that presentation?
This is Commissioner Bay. Christopher, thank you for that presentation. I just have a quick question, and it's regarding when people return to work or any public concerns regarding ventilation. We're hearing a lot about this with the school districts, and so I wanted to just get some feedback on how you guys deal with any new filtration systems you have to put in, air purifiers for employees, or just general building HVAC concerns when it comes to city buildings. Has that been an issue? Has anybody brought that up?
Commissioner Vey, Chair Barden, Commissioners, thank you for that question. I can't say that we've talked about installing new filtration devices. We did sign a PSA with a new company this year, Morco, to provide HVAC service consistent throughout all of our plants. And they've been doing routine servicing monthly since the beginning of this fiscal year in July to make sure that all of our systems are operating and functional.
And just
okay, thank you.
Just to add to that, that answer, thank you, Chris. We have also been limiting the number of folks that have been able to gather, and as evidenced by the commission meeting here today, even during times of city council meetings, it's a rather light amount of attendance with just the bare minimum staff as well as elected officials in the room. We've also reduced or eliminated any in-person training to the most extent. We do have some mandatory training that we do need to attend, but have otherwise eliminated that. But in regards to the HVAC system, that has not been addressed yet, but that is a great that's a great topic for us to bring up on our weekly calls with the city manager's office, so thank you.
Thank you, Director Dale. Again, this is Commissioner Bay. I've only said that because, you know, with the school districts, it's been a big deal, and we've been spending a lot of money just addressing that. And so I was just wondering what the fiscal impact would be, you know, when we do have to address it, because obviously there's some stuff that we're buying now that wasn't had to be purchased before, and so there is an impact both on a workload issue, and even though people are working from their house, it's preparing for them to come back has been probably the biggest challenge. So I figured that cities would have the same the same challenges. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Vey, for that question. A very interesting topic. Any further comments? All right, I'm moving on to item 13, Chairman's Report. I don't have much other than I want to thank everyone for their patience today, staff for continuing to use the technology. I hope the folks who weren't in the room today, everything worked and you could hear us well. I would just point out, to echo Director Dale's comments, there's only 4 people in the council chambers today, myself, Commissioner Rupp, Ms. Queen, and Director Dale, who I've not seen in 5 or 6 months, so it's good to see her. Yes, I want to thank everybody for their patience. We've had 2 meetings like this now. I hope at some time in the future to see you all around a dais again, and we'll get some sense of normalcy. Those are the only comments that I have. Commissioner's item. I'm going to start with Commissioner Rupp. For the good of the order, any comments?
No comments today.
Any comments from any of you commissioners who are on the telephone?
This is Commissioner Bay. This is just more of an event that I was attending that I thought that I would share with the group. we were, as part of the district, school district, we were involved with the Zero Net conference up in LA, but it was a virtual conference. And one of the topics was about clean water and recycling water. And they mentioned all the systems and the challenges. And then I chimed in and said, well, were you aware of the wonderful program happening in the city of Oceanside with the Pure Water program? And surprisingly, these experts didn't know about it. And so I educated them on it and said, hey, look it up. We're one of the few cities doing this. And so basically I promoted all the wonderful things we're doing in the city of Oceanside on a national scale to this conference. And it just surprised me that these experts weren't even aware of it. But it has nothing to do with the fact that we didn't promote it. I just don't think they did their research. So I just thought I'd let you know that we did promote that, and we're very proud of what we're doing here at the city.
Very good. Very good. Any further comments? Any commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to adjourn this meeting then to our next regular scheduled meeting, which is October 20th. Thank you all and good afternoon.